Bom dia, como está? Hi, I'm Mary Bridson, co-convener of the Level 3 class, and I'm talking to you today on the first day of fall, September 22nd, 2020. In just over a week's time, October 1st, will be the 50th anniversary of when we came to Canada, something we have never regretted. And yes, one of the things I'm doing this summer is trying to learn Portuguese through Duolingo. I'm currently on my 98-day streak. It's partly to keep my brain active, but also in the hope that one of these days we will be able to return to Portugal to enjoy the beautiful landscape, flowers, food and wine. Another project I've taken up is through Zooniverse, which hosts dozens of projects for volunteers to assist with, including things like the arts, biology, history, language, literature, medicine, nature, physics, space, an incredible variety. I have been helping enter data from a collection of lichens and plants from the Canadian subarctic into a database that will be searchable by researchers. I'm learning a lot about northern geography and the plants that grow there. I've also been working on my next collection of short stories, tentatively entitled A Year Full of Yarns, and I'm trying to write a story for each month. So far, I'm up to the middle of April. Not very good. To supplement my efforts, I have been incorporating some of my earlier writing, and I'd like to share with you part of my September piece. It's based on real events that took place when we lived in rural Newfoundland and could still go away on vacation. It's entitled A Tale of Three Bad Mice, and I will read you the first part about the first bad mouse. The best laid schemes o' mice and men gang after gly. Robert Burns from To a Mouse. Ample accommodation in tranquil pet-free surrounds, 3 beds and flower pots, unlimited free health food with min prep and secluded din nook. Available 3 weeks, September. I'm not saying such an item did appear in the classified ads of some fantasy rodent rag, but it might as well have. When we set off on our vacation in the fall, we packed our bags, took the dog to the kennels, locked the door, left the key with a friend to pop in and look after things. Subletting hadn't occurred to us. On our return, 3 weeks later, everything seemed fine. I stepped into the solarium to inspect my plants, all blooming, though a touch of stale humidity hung in the air, and I nearly trod in a pile of soil on the tiled floor which seemed to have come from under the roots of my geranium. Oops, John must have knocked the pot when he was watering. Strange he didn't sweep it up. It was getting late, and by the time we had plugged in all the appliances, drunk a cup of tea, retrieved the dog from her holiday camp, we were ready to turn in. The first real sign of alien occupation came when I pulled back the sheets on our bed. Mouse droppings! A trail of them, right across the mattress and even under the pillows. The bedding was downstairs in the wash as fast as I could rip it off. We scouted around, no sign of black pellets or paper nests in the food cupboards to our relief. We set a trap, an old-fashioned one with a spring-loaded morsel of cheese, and left it in the corner of the bedroom closet. Our ears were sore next morning from listening so hard for noises in the night. Well, that didn't work, my husband noted, checking the trap. Perhaps our visitor has left now we are back in the house. And the dog is here too, that should be a deterrent. Little did we know. When I fetched the dog's dish and pulled out the bag of dry kibbles to feed her, there was another nasty surprise. We keep the bag tucked tightly between the fridge and a corner cupboard, and I had taped the top shut while we were away. Oh no, come and look at this. There was a big hole chewed through the bottom corner of the waxy paper, and kibble spilled out everywhere. I had a good sniff at the bag, but it seemed fine, so I used duct tape to seal up the hole. I opened the cupboard under the sink to throw the sweepings in the garbage. Phew! It took my breath away. There was a huge, smelly mess of crumbs and runny mouse poop all in amongst the plumbing, plastic bags and floor cloths. This was where the mouse must have carried its loot to gorge in comparative safety. The trap was immediately moved to this cupboard, and then we took the dog for a walk, expecting to find a dead mouse on our return. Instead, we found the trap intact, spring poised over an empty hook. Twice more that day, we found the cheese had disappeared without triggering the spring. "Are you sure the trap is working?" I asked. "Oh, yes. The resounding snap of the wire nearly took a finger off when we poked it tentatively with a toothpick." We decided to use a blob of peanut butter instead, reasoning that the mouse would have to stay around longer to eat it and was bound to knock the spring. That night, we again strained our ears, waiting for the snap. But instead, we heard little mice footsteps scurrying along behind our bed. The smoke alarm couldn't have moved us faster, but as far as we could tell, scrabbling on the floor under the bed amongst the dust bunnies, the mouse must have been inside the wall. Next morning, the hook had been licked clean on the pristine trap, and serious war was declared. 2 traps were baited, with a choice of menu placed head to head. Both offerings were gratefully accepted. Feeding time again for the dog, and when I pulled out the bag, I found the other corner had been broken into. This was one greedy, overfed mouse. The kibbles were removed altogether from the scene of the crime and found temporary lodging in the closed dryer. Meanwhile, my husband had hunted around the front of the house by the bedroom wall for the means of access and found a small hole in the concrete foundation, which he blocked with steel wool. But was the mouse locked out or in? We would soon find out. The sink cupboard was cleared of all junk, and 2 boxes were arranged around one corner in which the 2 freshly baited traps were laid side by side. The mouse would have to jump down onto them from the boxes to reach the food. We spent a nervous evening, jumping at the slightest sound, but at last we were rewarded with a muffled thump. Our wily mouse had finally succumbed to his greed. We had never seen such a plump specimen, and could hardly believe he had been agile enough to have eluded the trap 6 times, a mouse of mythical achievement. And that was when I got the idea of immortalising his deeds in writing. I composed a story entitled The Life of Riley, about little Riley O'Wiley who lived in our garden and escaped the teasing of his siblings by breaking into our house and living in the lap of luxury. But I must confess I used a Disney Hollywood ending. Riley disappeared from the garden on his way to a neighbouring house on the squirrel's advice and became a figure of legend. After all, the recipient of the story, my grandson, was only just turning 4. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, and I hope to be dancing with you all again sometime next year. Bye.